This is the start of the foundation tutorials, and in these tutorials, before we go into making elements or adjusting elements, we should have a little bit of prep work, so it makes it easier when we do place or modify those elements. The first thing I would recommend doing is going into an elevation view. Now this could be any elevation, doesn't really matter. I'm using the north elevation, and I'm going to right click here and duplicate the view. And what we're going to do is create a structural elevation view. So we're going to rename this north structure or structural. And we could turn some of these elements off. I'm going to go to my visibility graphics by hitting VV, and I'm going to scroll down and turn off the site. Just as you imported your Rhino model as a generic model, I imported the site Rhino model as a site file, so you don't actually have to go here and modify the layers. You can just basically turn off the entire site. And we can hit apply here, and what that allows us to do is see a little bit, below the site as well. So I kind of want to crop this down, and I have this section box for you, so you could change this to lot condensed. But if you have a basement here, it might be pushing the limits. To change that, we need to go ahead and change that back to none. So the scope box, you have to first change to the lot condensed and then turn it off. It's just sort of a handy tip. And then now you can see this is the this is what's called the annotation crop, or the crop region, and we can pull this down. So if your foundation is way below because you have like some sort of element down here, you can go ahead and modify it that way, and then just go ahead and turn off the crop region. And what that will do is probably align all of these elements as well. So I'm just going to undo that extension and then hide it again. So now we have something that's a little bit more condensed and we can see a little bit better. You might want to change this to a shaded mode as well, so you can see the difference between your walls and your structure. Now we need to create a couple levels here, and the way we're talking about foundations in this class is that we're going to have a slab that's probably 8 inches deep, and then we're going to have a grade beam which will prevent any freezing from occurring inside of the foundation. And then we're going to have sort of a spread footing to distribute the load of the building throughout the ground evenly. So we need to create those levels. So I'm going to go to the ground here, and I'm going to copy this, and we're going to copy this down 3 feet. So the grade beam will go from the ground, it will be sort of absorbed with the slab, and so we can call this the bottom of grade beam. And if you remember from levels, if you misplace the level, you can actually just click on the number and you can change it that way. I gotta copy one more, and this is going to be the bottom of the spread footing. So I copied that down 18 more inches, so we can rename this bottom of spread footing. And it might be handy to actually add one more here, which will be the bottom of the slab. Now this is not a completely necessary step, but it might help you for remembering what elements you have to put in. So if your slab is 8 inches thick, add a new level, and we can change this to -8 inches. And we can call this level the top of interior footing. I'm going to unlock this and just pull this out a little bit, and that allows us to see it a little bit better. We could just change that later if we need to. We could change all of these to be a smaller size. But that's essentially it for the elevation. That gives us a few datums to work with. Now I'm going to go to a floor plan for the ground. If you don't have a structural floor plan for the ground, you can always go to View, Plan Views, and Structural Plan. And here you can see I have a ground view, and I'm going to create this. Now again, I'm going to type VV. I'm going to go down to the site, turn off the site, and here we can also turn on the scope box. Now if you've already done all of this stuff and created a view template from it, You can also apply a view template here. So that's that structural plan custom, or you can right click and you can apply the template properties right there. But what we want to do is just hide our partition walls, or the walls that are not structural. We just want to keep this as a foundation plan, basically. So I'm going to hover over everything, or I'm going to inclusively drag over everything, and now I'm going to go to filter. We're going to check none, and I just want the walls. So the only walls I want to hide are the exterior ones here, because these are not structural. So I can shift click the interior ones, and you probably don't have a lot of these. These are the shear walls. You might have none if you put it all out of steel. And I'm going to right click on these walls. I'm going to hide and view elements, and what that allows is that we can just focus on all of the structural elements in this view. And that's essentially it. Keep in mind, if you have a basement, then you might not want to create a ground view. It's actually going to be your basement that is going to be the top of your foundation. So that's the only thing you really have to pay attention to. So let's go into foundations.